The beaches, the blazing sun, and a racetrack awaiting the LWRC Cup Series where today each driver will do their best to claim the infamous South Beach. And with that, we welcome you to KBRN's live coverage of the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series from the Homestead Miami Speedway in South Florida. My name is Kenneth Bueno with Charlie Baier for the call as always, and we are ready to provide you all the heat on another East Coast journey. This time, it's Homestead, a track with multiple grooves, a different layout, and new strategies that we really learned and can carry on from the last race at Atlanta.
Yeah, this is another mile and a half where you have to really focus on tire saving, and especially on corner exit, you want to push the car up as much as you can. And you also want to prevent that to save those tires. So I think that it'll be just like Atlanta in terms of tire saving, and we saw how that really changed the outcome of the finish.
It really did. One of the drivers who maximized that tire strategy was the 72 of Kelan Hankins, who is here in the home won last week at Atlanta Motor Speedway using that tire strategy. A couple other drivers using different strategies, but still that ended up working out. And especially with this track, it's a really tire eating track, so you really have to watch your strategy when it comes down to this one. But regardless, we are ready to bring you all the coverage. Just about 8 minutes left in the qualifying session. We're just going to see who gets up on top. A couple of drivers getting their laps in their paint schemes at the night setting. And I want to mention a couple of races that happened prior. And the fact that we've never really visited this track before, it's had that stigma of championship racing. And now that it's more of a regular season event, and now it seems to be more in the middle of things. Is there somewhat of a different stigma for these drivers coming down to this track, knowing that this isn't really a championship event? You really have to play yourself in a different way to kind of maximize yourself for the playoffs?
Yeah, definitely. And usually when we come here for a championship race, there's a lot of respect for those guys who are running for a championship, and kind of want to let them by and give them as much room as they can, because they're running their own race and you're running your own. But without having to worry about letting all those guys by, or at least respecting their distance, I think that racing will be a lot more aggressive up front because, for obvious reasons.
You're watching a handful of drivers who are making a couple of their second starts and really prominent starts here tonight. A couple of those drivers is that 72 of Kelan Hankins took his first win in his first start in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series last week. He's looking for another win and go 2 in a row in his second start. He's already looked strong. There's already a couple of drivers that are making their first starts tonight. Some of those drivers, Liam Sheen, Jack DeAndrea, Nick Miller, Dylan Basin making his second start, as well as Kelan Hankins. But a lot of drivers, newer drivers tonight. It seems to have expanded just a little bit from what we've seen the past couple of weeks, mixed in with some of the drivers who have a little more experience and have already given themselves an edge in the point standings. Cole Williams being one of those drivers, the 39, Aiden Kirker, Brady Wheeleman, Hunter Ellis. Those drivers making a couple of starts and already have a little bit more of experience. So that might be what we see when those drivers get mixed in together. Right now, 6 minutes left in this qualifying session. We have a little longer qualifying session than what we're used to. Usually it's just about 5 minutes for 2 laps, but it's looking to be a little longer. They might advance the session as soon as we get down to that. A little information about Homestead Miami Speedway before we get going. The track broke ground in 1993 after Hurricane Andrew, the devastating effects on the city of Homestead. They decided to make a racetrack, and ever since it's been a staple of motorsports in the NASCAR world. Held the NASCAR Busch Series race, the first race for NASCAR, and has pretty much become a championship icon of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Truck Series, and the Premier Series. It's now just hosting a regular season event. Held one previously in June. You're looking at 1.48 miles, basically a 1.5 mile racetrack, 4 turns on this oval, 3.64 feet in elevation, so you're not too high up off the sea level here in South Florida. A track temp of 80 degrees under the lights, and of course we are in the city of Homestead in the United States of America. Looking at a couple drivers getting their qualifying laps in, and with this track, it is a really different one under the lights than it is during the day. You have the slickness during the day, and you have the multiple grooves, and it can still translate onto the night. But when you have a little of that extra grip with this package, it really seems to bring out a lot of the best in some of the drivers.
Yeah, definitely. And when the sun falls down, the grip goes up. But especially in Florida, when it's still very humid almost all 24 hours of the day, I think that there's still a little bit of slickness that these guys have to deal with. But for the most part, the track is pretty gripped up right now when they're under the lights.
See Hunter Ellison in over sim racing car. He's getting his laps in. Fellow teammate of the number 8 of Dylan Basin, who made a really strong case last week at Atlanta, but had the pit strategy that didn't fall through at the end. He was slowly catching that 72 kilo of Hankins, but just couldn't get it done at the end of the event. And that was one of the more interesting races to watch because it was really a pretty much show out of how strategy can play a big factor in this race. We didn't see much of factor of strategy in the past couple of events from the Daytona 500, but ever since last week at Atlanta, we're starting to see some drivers dip their toes into fuel strategy, into that tire strategy, into how they can maneuver themselves and possibly short pit and find a way around to get the better edge over the course of a long run. But we're just going to see how that works, especially if we get a little bit of yellows, considering we have a little bit of a larger field. We have just about more than 10 drivers this time around. I believe I think we have 15 or so. We should have a little more than that. I think, yeah, we do have 15 cars on the field right now. So significantly larger than what we've seen. Is there something to watch for when it comes down to close proximity and the yellows?
Yeah, definitely. And, this track has a lot of room to work with. It's kind of, some guys will, especially on the restarts, when those guys get a jump, they're going to go all the way down almost to the grass because there's enough room to make it, and there's enough room in turns number 1 and 2 to make that 3-wide move work. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot of aggression on these restarts.
So a sunset setting for Homestead, Miami Speedway, and all the drivers in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series getting ready to go. Just about 2 minutes 50 left. I believe everyone has set their times down on the racetrack, so I think we can advance the session and get to the green flag and the starting grid for tonight's action. Already everyone getting their laps in. You're looking at some of where those drivers are right now on your ticker above your screen, and see a couple of the drivers where they stand as the qualifying session winds down. We're just going to see how that works when we get to the starting grid. It's a little different what we've seen in this series, especially down to the practice format. Usually you're accustomed to seeing maybe 30-minute practice and then heading into 5-minute qualifying, 2 laps, and then you breach into the starting grid and then go to take the green flag. But here it's a little bit shorter. There's 10 minutes, and then we have a little bit longer qualifying session, and then obviously heading into the green flag for the remainder of the event. And speaking of events happening on the KBRN Racing Network, you can tune in later tonight. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern for the iRacing Bunch and Lawn Care Series. That'll be round number 7 with just 2 races left in the regular season. That'll be live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, Charlie and I will take care of that action. We might have Eli Commerford in the booth with us, a 3-man booth for that race. But tonight we're getting a little bit of different action here in the LWRC side of things. We got two of us here in the booth, Charlie and I, and we're going to try to bring you the best action down into this race here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And we still have a long way to go in this season, so still a lot of factors that could play a role down here at Homestead. So I think that's one of the more interesting things that we might be able to see.
Yeah, and as the ticker kind of scrolls through the qualifying results, that are all the drivers on the track, all the drivers in the session put down their laps. So all the qualifying here is finished. We're just waiting for the time to tick it down here. But some unfamiliar faces up front. Glenn Bundren inside the top 5 with a lap time of 31.720, beating Blaze McKinney, which I'm surprised to see him a little further back in the top 5 since he is such a dominant driver in pretty much all the series that we broadcast. Also, Liam Sheen, first-time starter, starting 7th, and Nick Miller starting 6th. So those are a couple of the faces that we're going to see up front tonight. Obviously, Andy McDowell, another fast driver, and especially Cole Williams, who took a win or 2 this season and looking to add on to that list.
Andy McDowell ran Auto Club a couple of weeks ago, and he's looking to get a win tonight. He was just short of that win on the white flag when they got into a handful of contact with drivers like the 42 of Cole Williams, the 39. Those drivers got into a little bit of contact at Auto Club. Andy McDowell is looking for a better run tonight here at Homestead. And with that, qualifying is just about ending. We're going to get to your starting grid, see where everyone files through. We're going to see how the starting grid works for tonight's action here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Pace car gets onto pit road. The rest of the drivers will spawn in. We'll see where everyone lines up. We'll take your starting grid right now in the middle of your screen. Taking the pole for tonight's action is the 42 of Cole Williams, a 31.604 starting in the inside of row number 1. He'll start alongside the PPM car, Peak Performance Motorsports. Andy McDowell starting alongside him second.
And in row number 2 inside, Dylan Basin, that 8 car, Nova Simsport driver. And to his outside in row number 2, starting 4th, Glenn Budge, another PPM machine, starting right behind his teammate.
Skip back to row 3, you'll find the 87 of Blaze McKinney at 31.725, starting within the top 5. To his outside will be the number 9 of Nick Miller.
And in row number 4, Liam Sheen starts 7th place on the inside, and to his outside, another PPM driver lining up with their teammate Sartaj Mann in that 49 car.
Row 5, rounding out the top 10, will be the 18 of Kelan Belsha and his Toyota Camry. He'll start alongside the Nova Sim Racing car, the 01 of Hunter Ellis, starting 10th.
And just outside the top 10, the 28 car of Jack DeAndre running for Instagram Buds Racing, and to his outside, Keela Hankins for SPM Racing in that 72 car starting 12th.
Kelan Hankins picked up his first win last week. And then you go to row 7, you'll find the 71 of Brianna Lavin starting 13th, and the 39 of Aiden Kirker starting a little bit farther back in 14th.
And then row number 8, rounding out your field, the 15 car to make, starting 15th is the 51 of Brady Wheelaman and that 51 Chevy Camaro. And yeah, before we go green here, we just want to let you guys know that if you want to ask a question in our YouTube chat, just use hashtag AskKBRN. You can ask any question related to pretty much anything, obviously within the boundaries of being appropriate, but pretty much just ask us anything and we'll answer pretty much anything that you guys ask us.
It's a little way for us to interact with the people down in the YouTube chat and the viewers watching our broadcast. We love to do that every single time we put on a show on YouTube, just to have a little bit of interactivity with the people watching, and have a little conversation there with what we think about the races, about us in general, about anything going down on the K1 Racing Network and beyond. As you're looking at the field 2 wide all the way through, it'll be the 42 of Cole Williams. Andy McDowell will lead the field to the green flag. The pace car will slowly line off pit road. I believe this time, I think track is big enough to go through that. So, oh no, we still got one more left. So, oh no, we don't. All right, green flag set to go. Cole Williams, Andy McDowell leads to the green flag.
That's not the first time you've done that. And almost, cars getting a bit of an iffy start there, hitting the wall just a little bit, just a scrub there. But they're keeping it all straight, almost fanning out 3 wide into turn 1.
We got a car almost around. That is the 87 of Blaze McKinney. Almost saves it, goes up to the wall. That'll definitely be a yellow. Brianna Lavin around as well. Caution flag flies. Lap number 1, and the driver we did not expect to get into trouble early has gotten into a bit of a hole early in this event. You see the extent of the damage on that 87. Already hard damage to the 87 of Blaze McKinney. And boy, that was a tough situation to watch. We'll take a replay, see exactly what went down into turn number 1. The drivers were fanning out very, very closely. I think it might have been a little help from that 36 behind him. We'll just see. And yes, it is. Actually, the 87 flies down on the racetrack. Maybe he thought he was clear, then hits the 36 on the wrong spot, and that sent him up. He almost saved the race car, but then he overcorrected up the racetrack. Another driver also got loose up there as well. I think it might have been Shane DiMantova. It is the 36 of Shane DiMantova. He was also involved in the incident. He saves, and then Brianna Lavin spins around as well. Boy, tough break for all those drivers there.
Yeah, the 36 of Liam Sheen just got into his back bumper, and unfortunately got him twisted around. Also, that's the 71 right there of Brianna Lavin also involved there. Jack DeAndre with a good bit of wreck avoidance, but unfortunate to see on lap number 1.
Especially Blaze McKinney down there, who was one of the more dominant drivers in other series that we broadcasted. The Bunch of Lawn Care series is one of those series where he's been able to find his footing and pretty much dominate almost every race that he's been a part of there. But I think we're in early trouble here for that 87 tonight, as a couple drivers went down pit road. 87, of course, went down pit road. I believe Shane DiMantova, one of the drivers who went down pit road. Of course, Brianna Lavin, Aiden Kirker, those guys went down pit road to get damage fixed and get a little bit topped off, so they can start fresh and clean once we head down the restart. And the early yellow, I mentioned the close proximity of these drivers, especially with the larger field. That's something we saw right now early tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing to note, not related to the racing, but a lot of patriotic paint schemes here. Obviously, last Saturday, over the weekend was July 4th, so drivers showing their patriotism through the form of paint schemes. So that's really cool to see a lot of red, white, and blue out here. Obviously, we thank the people who came before us to build this country for us to enjoy. And yeah, we're thankful for them, and this is our appreciation for. This is their appreciation for them.
And we're going to see a lot of those paint schemes coming later tonight in the Bunch and Lawn Care Series. We'll see those drivers rocking their stars and stripes on their cars for tonight's action. You mentioned July 4th weekend. We hope you had a safe weekend there. Of course, the pandemic really isn't helping a lot of the situations that a lot of people would be celebrating with family and friends. But nonetheless, we hope you had a safe and enjoyable 4th of July weekend. And we have a lot of... after the weekend, we always have a lot of excitement for these races on Monday afternoons and evenings. So we're happy to bring you that coverage and show a little bit of the patriotism with the drivers on track. As you see a couple of those drivers sporting their paint schemes. Glenn Buncher being one of those. Nick Miller as well. Kelan Belsha a little farther back behind. He's also rocking Andy McDowell as well, rocking their paint schemes. So one of the more significant paint schemes is the driver right behind the pace car, the 42 of Cole Williams. He used that paint scheme when he won Phoenix Raceway. So I think it might have been a good luck charm for that 42 to rock that orange and red Coca-Cola paint scheme to possibly get a little more wins down the road. He's been dominant early on in the season.
Yeah, another thing though is Blaze McKinney currently sitting one lap down on the racetrack. He's not even, I don't think he's even in the session anymore. So Blaze McKinney with an early exit, lap 1 here at Homestead, Miami Speedway. That's a shame. He was definitely going to be a contender for the championship.
So 1 to green signal by the pace car. Cole Williams, Andy McDowell, the first row and the second row basically unchanged from there on out. They'll lead the field to the green flag once we head back around and go. You see a little contact between Glenn Bunge and Sartaj. Man, those guys are getting a little action in before we go green flag racing. Probably a testament to what we've seen early on in this event going into turn number 1. We'll just see if that's the same case this time around. So we'll take one more lap around. Of course, a couple of drivers on a certain teams. That is the Peak Performance Motorsports having a couple of drivers tonight. Blaze McKinney was one of those drivers, so he's early on in the session. But they still got drivers on the racetrack. Andy McDowell, Glenn Bundren, Sartaj Mann among the drivers there. Then you have SPG and Evo Sim Sport, their merged together team. Nick Miller, you have Shane D. Mantova, those drivers, and you have SPM Racing, Kilo Hankins, Instagram Buds Racing with Kelan Belsha, Jack DeAndrea, Nova Sim Sport, the handful of drivers farther down the field, Dylan Basin, Hunter Ellis. But the driver right now that matters is that 42. He's going to mash the gas pedal. We're going to take the green flag on lap number here at Homestead, Miami Speedway.
And already fading out 3 out like we saw in that first restart there. Sartaj Mann to the inside. He's going to get a slingshot almost all the way to second. If he can clear him, and he will. So Sartaj Mann, 5th to second in just 1 corner.
And that's how much it is. Glenn Bundren is way loose at the back stretch of the racetrack. He's able to keep it straight. I don't know how he kept it straight, but the 36 of Shane DiMantoba had to woe it down all the way down to the grass to get away from that 37. But up front, it is looking solid with the 42 up front, followed by the 49 of Sartaj Mann. Andy McDowell follows in 3rd, 9 Nick Miller into 4th. You see the multiple grooves they're using. The 20 already trying to use the high line to his advantage. He might get the run off turn 2.
And the 36 of Liam Sheen had a really good save there and kept the car straight, currently sitting just outside the top 5, right behind Jack DeAndrea. But for the race lead, Sartaj Mann looks to the inside of that 42 car.
Oh boy, apologize. Liam Sheen. Oh boy. I got that wrong completely. Okay. Oh.
And into the wall on the front straightaway, another save for that 20 car. These guys are banging the wall on the front stretch. Not too much damage to that 20 car, but another close call. Nick Miller to 3rd place.
Nick Miller to the bottom of the racetrack. He takes P3. Andy McDowell behind him. It seems the top 4 have spread themselves among the rest of the field. You see Dylan Basin behind there, Jack DeAndrea, and Liam Sheen. I'm going to get that correct from now on. As you see these drivers coming through. You see middle lane work by the 42. That'll allow that 49 to get a little bit of a run, but that 9 is right on his back bumper. He's eager to make a move early.
Yeah, when the track starts to get some rubber built in, these guys are going to start to search for more lanes to run. And to the inside for the race lead once again, he peaks. But again, this could be considered a one-lane racetrack, and it's pretty hard to pass for the lead around here.
Single file all the way through. It seems that everyone filed themselves correctly. Apart from that little wobble by the 37, he ends up saving, but he lost a bunch of spots down there. He is okay. He's just trying to find himself back through the line. He's right behind Kilo Hankins, and a wobble by the 49 into the 9 of Nick Miller. Hard into the inside wall. They both get collected. A caution comes out lap 10.
And that is a big wreck for that 9 car. That was a big wobble for Sartaj Man to the front straightaway and just caught the 9 in his right side, and both took some pretty hard hits. That's pretty surprising. We're going to get a replay of this one for you guys. This was going into turn 3. Sartaj Man was kind of blocking Nick Miller every time he tried to go, or tried to take a look to the inside, and this was coming down the front straightaway. Oh yeah, just some big wobbles there, and the 49 just couldn't save it. That's a pretty iffy situation for them both.
I think Nick Miller was just trying to get to the bottom of Sartaj Man, and we saw early in the last lap the 49 was trying to make a block, but I think it might have been a little contact between the two, giving a little bumper shoving there to push him down that front straightaway, but that unsettled the 49 insanely, and that sent him wobbling around the racetrack on board with Nick Miller. See his perspective.
Yeah, and Sartaj Man kind of wobbled up the racetrack, and he tried to power it down low, and you know, Sartaj Man just kind of overcorrected back into them. That's a shame for both of those guys. They're having a good run.
So both of those drivers have heavy contact and damage, and a bunch of drivers down pit road. All the leaders go down pit road to take tires and fuel. Cole Williams leads the field down there. Andy McDowell picked up those 2 positions from the contact, but what we've seen from these 2 cautions already early on in this race is just how much it can affect even the dominant drivers. Nick Miller, Sartaj Man, those drivers with high, they're very skilled drivers, and they got into trouble early. Blaze McKinney also got into trouble early. It just shows that even sometimes it's not forgiving, and you can really strike even the best of them down here on the racetrack. And a good stop right there for the 36. Takes, I believe, the lead. He does. Down pit road. That might have been a nice strategy for that 36. Sled goes up to first place, and Andy McDowell also passed the 42 of Cole Williams. Might have been a slower stop for that 42 on pit road.
Yeah, definitely. And Liam Sheen almost got a second faster pit stop than Cole Williams and people like Dylan Basin. And he spent he must have gotten he got a speeding penalty there because of that, because his pit lane time was 38 seconds compared to, or 37 seconds compared to everyone else who got 38 and 39 seconds. So that's a speeding penalty for him. I got confused there with them coming out first, but that'll put Andy McDowell out front.
36 gets slapped with a speeding penalty already out of pit road. It looked as though that 36 was going to gain a couple spots and sledge up to the lead and take the lead on the restart, but as Andy McDowell will file into that spot, he got over the 42 of Cole Williams, who looked to be very close. They were right there, pretty much inches apart, coming to the pit road line, the pit road exit. And it seems that 20 got the best of them that time. The 42 will start on the outside. How about a couple drivers moving themselves into this top 4? Dylan Basin files into 3rd. He made a little strong run down that little green flag stint. He's made a couple of spots in. He now sits in 3rd. And Glenn Bungeon, who had that little wobble down the back straightaway, he's picked himself out of that situation. He's now up to 4th. Jack DeAndrea, Instagram Buds Racing driver, is now into the top 5 in his first start tonight. Of course, the 37 and the 28. The 28 making those first starts tonight. And second start, Kilo Hankins now in 6th. He might be looming into this top 5 if he can get a better restart this time around. He was the winner last week, so we'll see what happens with that 72.
Bit of shenanigans going on here. I don't really have an explanation for this, but these were the 2 guys who were involved in that last yellow flag.
'49, Sartaj Man, 9, Nick Miller. They're going to file themselves back into the line, and Nick Miller is going to head down pit road. So he Probably gonna get a little bit of damage fixed as well. Get some other things topped off after that incident. We'll see what happens. Still 2 to green, I believe. So we'll take 2 laps more, and we'll take the green flag on lap number 15. A longer race this time around, 75 laps. A little bit different than what we saw last week at Atlanta, which was 60 laps. And that race went on very quickly, considering the fact that there was no yellows. It really was like a catalyst to the race. And we saw the effects of that and how quickly that went by, and the strategy that played over the long green flag run. We haven't been able to see that just yet here at Homestead, but I think if we can get a longer run this time around, we'll be able to see the exploits of that and see how drivers like Dylan Basin and Kilo Hankins fare out on that strategy, especially down the road to fuel and tires, especially in this track. The tires, fresh tires matter more than anything here at this track, more than anything. And if you have those fresh tires, you can easily distinguish the drivers on the fresher tires and the drivers that are a little bit worn down on the rubber underneath them. So that's something interesting to watch, especially if the tire strategy comes into play. You're looking on board with the 42 of Cole Williams as we go down the pace laps here. We're going to give a little bit of onboard coverage with him over the course of the night, over the course of the afternoon here, of course, and on the sim side things over the course of the night. So we'll take the 1 to green signal. Andy McDowell, Cole Williams will lead the field into row 1. Dylan Basin will file in row 2 alongside, I believe it was, correct me, Glenn Bungeon. There it is, Glenn Bungeon into 4th.
Yeah, if you listen closely, you can hear that 42 stepping on the clutch and I guess trying to save fuel. I mean, come right out of the pits. I don't know if that's pit strategy or if it's just out of boredom. So, yeah, this car's going to line up. Go back green flag racing one more time. Glenn Bungeon moved himself up into the 4th spot, starting right behind the 42 car. So, some more faces that are appearing up front tonight, and it'll be an interesting one for sure.
PPM will lead the first 2 rows. The 20 of Andy McDowell, Glenn Bungeon. Then you'll find Dylan Basin, Cole Williams starting on the outside of row 1. The first time he's been there all night. Pace car lines down pit road. The 20 of Andy McDowell will step on the gas pedal. Green flag is back out of Homestead under the lights with the 42 on his outside.
Good job for him, but to the inside goes that 20 car of Andy McDowell side by side for the race lead. That's going to give the 8 car a chance to get the draft down the back straight, but side by side with that 42 car on the 20.
Side by side, almost 3 rows deep. Now the 20 files into 2nd. You'll find the SPG car of Liam Sheen, who was struck with that penalty. He's now to the high side of Keloa Hankins in the SPM Racing entry, but Andy McDowell slowly peaking into that first place position. But Cole Williams, what a great restart for that 42. And the 20's in the wall. He's able to keep it straight, but that'll allow that 8 of Dylan Basin to take over 2nd place off of turn 2.
Dylan Basin finished 2nd or 3rd, I believe, at Atlanta last week in the LWRC Cup Series. He's looking for redemption, trying to take or improve on that 2nd place finish and maybe take a win here tonight, fighting up in that position. But look who's currently sitting 4th. Liam Sheen, after getting slapped in the face with a speeding penalty, inside of Andy McDowell for 3rd place.
Gonna file himself back down. Sometimes that inside lane doesn't work to your advantage as much as sometimes drivers think. You see them working that middle line. Liam Sheen used all the way to the white line that last time around. He's going to file back in with the 20. I think at the draft, he might make the pass, and a little bit of a blocking from that 20 of Andy McDowell. They're going to work themselves into turn 3. Already aggressive racing, and the 20 goes around sideways. How did he save that race car? He keeps it straight up on the high side, loses a bunch of ground, but he keeps it straight for now, and he's wobbling down the front straightaway.
And you saw those hands moving around in that car. That is a terrific save for that 20 front car. In the wall, once again, 20 car. Can he save it again? Sideways. Oh, looks like it's going to go around right in front of that 18 car. And a caution will come out once again. That is a wild lap and a half for that 20 car.
I'm not sure what happened there because that was contact between teammates. The 20 of Andy McDowell got into a little contact with the 49 of Sartaj Man. Of course, them both being part of Peak Performance Motorsports. They're going to take a replay within that lap and a half and see what happened because that extended far beyond what we thought it would. We see the contact here with Liam Sheen, and Liam Sheen was trying to make the move to the bottom, and the 20 wasn't really allowing that to happen. I think the 36 gets a little bit too close into turn 3, sends him almost around, but he's able to save it and keep it to that high side. Of course, he loses the ground, but then he's almost saving the huge wobble down the front straightaway. And then here's contact with the 49 of Sartaj Man.
And he just put him in the wall there. Went around once again, but yeah, a wild 4 corners for that 20 car. You see terrific wreck avoidance by that 18 car, getting on the brakes and just avoiding that. Good on him. But yeah.
Taking onboard cam with the 18 of Kelan Belsha, and boy, what a sight this was in front of him.
Kind of reminds me of Daniel Suarez at Bristol that one time with the 14 car spinning right in front of him. Went all the way up against the wall and got no damage at all from it. So, yeah. Looks like some cars went down pit road opting for a tire strategy here. They're going to be on 10-lap fresher tires than the cars who stayed out. Dylan basically leading them down, and we'll see how they shape up once they exit.
Bunch of drivers down pit road. That includes Glenn Bunge and Dylan Basin, those two leading the field down. Andy McDowell, of course, went down pit road after that run literally shot those tires down. Kilo Hankins as well down pit road. A good entrance and exit for Dylan Basin. He lines up first off of the pit road in that area, and you see behind him will be the 39 of Aiden Kirker. Kilo Hankins makes up a couple spots down there on pit road, and a couple drivers a little bit far behind. That includes Kelan Belsha and Glenn Bunchen, who we didn't see fall out too far down the pit line there. He's falling back a couple spots in that ordering. But we got a question from the chat here. Ask KBRN. Says, who is your pick to win the Bunge Lawn Care Series race tonight? Of course, we have that race later tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on this very channel. What do you got for that race, Charlie?
Well, like Charlotte is a pretty unpredictable track, to be honest with you. And in those first laps, those tires are fresh and they have a lot of grip. So my pick, well, the easy option would be Blaze McKinney, of course. He's dominated the season pretty much, but I'm gonna go with that 9 car of Nick Miller. I think he's gonna get a win here in the Bunge Lawn Care Series tonight. He's one of the only drivers with Keaton Jones who really stood up against Blaze McKinney in the Iowa race along with Andy McDowell. So I think it'll be the 9 car who comes home with a victory tonight.
It's a good prediction because Nick Miller really made a case for the win at Michigan a couple weeks back in that series, and he was unfortunately involved in a wreck late in the running, so he wasn't able to really capitalize on his performance there. But if he can make the Bunge Lawn Care Series race tonight, he will make a shot. But I think Keaton Jones really has that opportunity. He's gotten oh so close to that 87 and beating him a handful of times throughout the race. Of course, at Iowa, he was pretty much battling with him the entire night, running 1-2 switcheroo between those two the entire runtime around. That I believe Keaton Jones might actually have the run this time around at Charlotte. He might have the luck on his side tonight. I think he might pick up that checkered flag for the first time in that season and really shoot himself up in the point standings. So he's currently 23rd in the point standings there on that side of things. So he's got a little work to make up. I think if he can pick up a win there at Charlotte, he will do so, and he'll put himself in a nice pot for the playoffs in a couple race time. But we have a little bit more racing to do here on the LWRC Cup Series. Cole Williams, Liam Sheen will lead the field to the green flag. Another driver up to that outside, another switch with that 42, staying down to the bottom of row 1. You'll find Jack DeAndrea, Sartaj Man, the PPM driver, and the Instagram Buds Racing driver behind them. Then you'll find the driver who beat them off of pit road, Dylan Basin, to the outside of row 3 with Hunter Ellis. First time we see him into the top 5 tonight. He's reached himself on that restart. And with these restarts, you see 3 wide, 4 wide. You see a bunch of action between drivers. I don't expect anything different this time around. But that 42 really has to make a case for all the other drivers right behind him, especially with the drivers Liam Sheen, Sartaj Man, who've been oh so fast through this entire running.
And these guys are ready to go. Remember, the top 5 did stay out with those pit stops. Dylan Basin currently sitting 6th is going to be the first car on those fresh tires. So we're gonna, in this round, we're going to see the difference between fresh tires and old tires and how they stack up. I think my prediction is that those guys with fresh tires are going to slingshot past the leaders here. But pace car's off. Green flag is out once again here. And a bit of a wobble by that 36. Almost a jump on the restart.
Yeah, that was a huge shove right behind him. He had a mirror full. Takes the race lead. Cole Williams to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to try and make up the positions lost on that restart to the bottom of the track under the 49. Still side by side on the back straightaway, but Dylan Basin worked himself into fourth on those fresh tires.
Yeah, a new leader here, but right behind him is that 49 car. He's hungry. He's got himself in a bit of trouble tonight. He wants to get out front and prove that he is better than these guys think. But Liam Sheen with a 2-car length lead down the front straightaway at lap number 25.
Almost 3 wide for position behind Dylan Basin. That was Jack DeAndrea. That was Glenn Bundren. And I believe the 72 of Kelan Hankins. Those 3 were battling all together down the front straightaway. They seem to have calmed the tensions a little bit. Still battling behind with Aiden Kirker and the 01 of Hunter Ellis. Here's a move down on the bottom racetrack. Glenn Bundren to the bottom of 72. Give that position to Glenn Bundren.
Here comes Aiden Kirker in that 39 car looking for the spot as well. But back up front, the gap has closed for the lead. Here comes Dylan Basin, the only car on that top 4 who has those fresh tires. Looking to the inside of that 42 car for 3rd place.
Dylan Basin, the only car on fresh tires. He went down pit road that last time around. It's worked out for him well so far. He's now to the bottom of the 42 of Cole Williams, and he will make the move down into turn number 3. Now he has 2 cars left to get to that top spot, and he'll lead laps for the first time tonight. But Liam Sheen kind of bridged the gap between the 2 a little bit. You look at the blocking from the 49 down the front straightaway. Almost worked out for him, but not too much in the end. The 8 in the contact between the 2. An almost save. He saves it. Down another huge save.
Yeah, and we've seen our fair share of saves tonight, but that is another remarkable one. He's going to lose a lot of spots. Sartaj is going to fall out of the top 5 here and possibly the top 10. But Dylan Basin, with that move, he is now up to 2nd place. And Sartaj, man, continues to find himself in trouble.
Yeah, Sartaj, man, got into a bit of trouble there. He's lost spots, and now he's in the clutches of all the drivers behind. He's already lost spots to Glenn Bundren, Jack DeAndrea, and the 39 of Aiden Kirker, and he's probably going to fall into the hands of that 72 very soon. And look who's back there as well, Nick Miller, who got into an incident early in the race. He's got his faster pair. He's got a fresh race car. He's looking to make a case for this top 5 if he can get there.
Yeah, Nick and that 9 car and the 49 car, this is the first time they've seen themselves on track together since their incident. I would expect a bit of tempers to flay here and blocking, just like Sartaj has been doing all race. He's been blocking. There you go. There you see it. Going down the racetrack, trying to keep that position.
He's been aggressive all night. And there goes the 9 of Nick Miller to the bottom. Those fresh tires as well. So he'll be making an opportunity with that. He takes a position away. Up front, though, it is all Liam Sheen and Dylan Basin who moved into 2nd. And those fresh tires are working out for that 8 car right now. You see him working the top side. He's slowly reeling in that 36, but now Cole Williams could make an opportunity for 2nd, and also Glenn Bundren as well.
And Cole Williams has put up a bit of a fight here on those old tires. He really hasn't lost a ton of ground, but Liam Sheen has probably done the best on those old tires, obviously maintaining the lead. But here comes Dylan Basin, just half a car length behind, looking for the race lead.
Dylan Basin on board with that number 8 Chevrolet Camaro down to the track, and Liam Sheen has had his fair share of battles with drivers in the Bundren Lawn Care Series. Easily gives up that position. The fresh tires obviously being the victor on that one. Dylan Basin to the race lead.
On lap number 3, we still have a bit of racing left to go. We have about 45 laps, not even halfway yet. But Glenn Bundren in that 37 car moved up into the 3rd place and is looking for more.
Now the 37 of Glenn Bundren slowly, stealthily making those moves. And contact between the 2 might be another save. It is. Oh my goodness. Boy, these drivers have had a wheel of a race tonight. They've had so many drivers have been in those situations and keep it together. Boy, I don't know how they've been able to do that so far. But Glenn Bundren now into the top 3. Now he's pushed himself to 2nd. Now he has to get around and catch that number 8 right in front of him.
Yeah, and Liam Sheen and that 42 car both are losing some ground here. A bit of contact there for the 5th spot. That's Liam Sheen getting down into the 39 car. But those guys, those old tires are definitely getting to them as these guys with fresher tires are blowing by.
Yeah, the 39 of Aiden Kirker, Nick Miller gets around as well. That'll bring the opportunity and open the door for the 72 of Kilo Hankins to get around as well. Jack DeAndrea peeking, trying to get that move down, and if these two guys continue to stay side by side, that 28 can move down to the bottom and take that position away, and he does down to the bottom of the racetrack on the back straightaway. So lost ground by that 36, but as far as we've seen from multiple drivers tonight, they've had to keep their race car steady even with the contact, and they've done so successfully.
And you see these guys fighting for just inside the top 5. This is a battle for 4th place, or third place, I should say. Cole Williams just hanging on momentarily, but that 39 car with a big shove to the bottom. Nick Miller to follow, and also right behind them, that 72 car of Kelan Hankins.
Well, so far it's been a bunch of battling and shuffling and saving with a lot of the drivers up here, but so far over the course of this run, those top 2 have spread themselves amongst the rest of the field, and Dylan Basin has really made the gap on 2nd place and so on. He's continuing to lead this race on those fresher tires on that call. Glenn Bungeon was also part of that call, so it's working out for the both of them right now. That little strategy worked out for Nick Miller as well, and the 39 of Aiden Kirker, Kilo Hankins. Those guys who were in that line to pit started in the back. They worked themselves into this top 5.
Yeah, and the first car who was on those old tires currently sitting 6th. That's the 42 of Cole Williams, also Jack DeAndrea there as well, Liam Sheen right behind them. So those 3 cars stayed out, and then it's obviously those old tires got the best of them. So, yeah, Nick Miller clears the 39 car for 3rd place, but looking for a crossover for that 3rd spot.
36 laps completed. More contact between Aiden Kirk and Nick Miller. He almost went around. Another save. Boy, we got to have a save counter tonight for the amount of saves we've seen here tonight. Nick Miller now added to the list of saves. Oh my goodness, another work of effort there by that 9 car. He had to keep that thing straight, and he does. But he didn't lose too much ground off of that, though. He's now to the outside of Aiden Kirker, and he might make the move down the front straightaway.
And powering out the outside. You're going to see this outside line start to come in, especially when the tires start to wear down, and that worked out for Nick Miller really well. From the outside in turn number 3, clears him into turn number 1.
9, Nick Miller, 39, Aiden Kirker, 72, Kilo Hankins in that 3-car battle. Cole Williams in 42 following right behind on those older tires. Of course, he is the first driver down with those older tires that did not pit in that top 5 on the last restart, but he's done a good job of keeping himself within this top 5 and just pretty much watching what's happening and maintaining his car over the course of this run. Jack DeAndrea behind him. Then you'll find Andy McDowell, who got into trouble early. Those drivers also spread out as well. But if you're looking for spreading out, check out Dylan Basin. We got a caution on the racetrack. Liam Sheen is around to the inside wall. Oh, I was just mentioning the spreading out between all these drivers, and now they're going to have to hit the reset button and be close together once again. Sartaj, man, with damage. Another caution on lap number 38.
And another caution out here. We're going to get a replay of this. This was happened on the front straightaway, but looking here at the back straightaway, the 51 looked to be involved as well, but we'll see what happened. That 36 car has a bit of internet issues, obviously blinking out. We saw that from the race lead, but here we are. And down the front straightaway, just got him in the back end and collected that 51 as well. That's another pretty sketchy move by that 49 car.
Yep. 49 and Sartaj, man, has made some aggressive moves tonight, and this one being no different. I think he was trying to side draft, but then gets into the 36 and then collects that 51, who was just an innocent bystander there. You saw the 01 of Hunter Ellis slide by on board with Sartaj, man.
Yeah, that's I don't really know what to say about that. It's obviously intentional wrecking is not out of the picture. These guys have been aggressive to each other earlier in the race, so I don't know what to say about that one.
Well, what we gotta say is that drivers are down pit road. Dylan Basin, Glenn Bungeon, the rest of the field follows down pit road. And those guys, especially those guys up front, maximize that opportunity on those fresh tires, and now they're going to be reset with 4 fresh tires on every car tonight.
And that's Andy McDowell. He might have missed his pit stall. He didn't make a stop. He just kind of drove all the way through the pit lane there. So he might have to go down and get another attempt at a pit stop, but winning the race off of pit road, the 37 of Glenn Blundgren. Also up there is Kelan Hankins taking the win, taking the race lead away from Dylan Mason.
And a good pit stop by Glenn Blundgren to take the lead away from Dylan Mason. Kelan Hankins falls into third, Nick Miller fourth off of pit road. And then you'll find the 39 of Aiden Kirker behind them. Those will be the top 5 as soon as we get back green. And you mentioned Andy McDowell, who possibly missed his pit box, so he'll probably take one more lap around and go down pit road as soon as he can, so he can get those fresh tires. Because if you want to stay out on those old tires, it's going to be rough for you. We saw how rough it was for that top 5 to stay out on those older tires, and they got the best cut out for them by the drivers behind them on those fresher tires, and they were able to take advantage on the long run. Seems as though Andy McDowell won't take the pit stop. I think he's just opting to stay out ever since he missed the box. So you're looking at, you see Sartaj man down with heavy damage off of pit road. I think that was a 71 of Brianna Lavin behind him. Also taking some service down pit road. You see the damage to the front end of that Mustang. It looks fairly clean from there into a couple of incidents early in the race, but we haven't seen much of her since the drop of the green flag. But right now, it has been a shuffled field, and we've seen a lot of drivers handle their race cars and save them. We saw a bunch of drivers, especially near this top 5, control their race cars and really wheel them down. I think we should have like a save moment of the race or something, because that was intense.
And our caution, we're gonna get a caution report here really quickly. This is our 4th caution. We've completed 15 cautions laps, not too bad, especially compared to some of the past races that we've had. 5 lead changes here, and they have been wild lead changes. We've seen people sideways for the race lead. And the fastest lap of the race was a 31.1717, set by Nick Miller, who only sits in 5th place here. And we got 35 laps remaining still, just past halfway a few laps to go under caution. And yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. I think that these guys are good to the end on fuel, so we do not need to worry about a fuel strategy race here. But another thing that these guys have to worry about, if this goes green, is going to be saving those tires. So, yeah, strategy will come into play here in these last 35 laps.
Yep. Especially with the 20 of Andy McDowell, who stayed out on that pit stop. He probably didn't want to do it intentionally, but now that he's there, he kind of has to work with what he's got in that 20 Peak Performance Motorsports. He's gonna line up with a Peak Performance teammate to his outside, Glenn Blundgren, who's led a couple laps tonight. He's worked himself into 2nd with Dylan Mason on that last run. So we'll see how those drivers fare with each other now that they're right next to each other and close to each other over that long run. You couldn't really see that happen between the 8 who took the lead early on. And we'll see if those guys on the fresh tires really swarm that 20 car. It's all a matter of what happens when the green flag drops. Mentioned these drivers probably good on fuel, so we probably won't see a strategy, especially when that yellow came out. We were probably going to see some strategy if the green flag stayed, but regardless, we're going to see all these drivers now on a level playing field on the fresh tires. Pace car will line down to pit road off of turn number 4. Andy McDowell, the 37 of Glenn Blundgren, 2 PPM cars lead them to green flag on lap number 42 with just less than 30 laps remaining.
Once again, down to the apron there, towards the back, that's Hunter Ellis on the bottom, going to gain a spot or 2 on the bottom, slides right in front of that 36 car of Liam Sheen, and sideways he goes, saves that race car once again, and oh, the 36 car hard into the wall. That's going to collect the 51, the 28 also in the grass, and a caution will come out once again on lap number 43.
Well, another incident involving the 36 of Liam Sheen, this time collecting the 51 again. The 28 of Jack DeAndre got a piece of that as well. We're going to take a replay and see what happened. They were pretty much 3 wide through turn 1. You see Kelan Belsha to the outside, Hunter Ellis down there as well. I think it might have been a little bit of contact with Hunter Ellis, but I'm not sure if that sent him around, or maybe he just tapped to the side of the 18 of Kelan Belsha and got a little bit unsettled. And then he was trying to keep the car straight, and he actually no contact with the 18, just to loose on his own accord. Goes around, hard damage once again, and he's been involved in a couple incidents tonight. I don't think he might be able to get out of this one. On board with the 71.
Good wreck avoidance there. Oh my gosh, almost made contact with the 28 car. Close call, but able to make it through.
Well, you looked at the onboard cam with that 71 of Brianna Lappin. Close call, especially cutting through the 28, and the 36 was involved in that contact. That onboard cam brought to you by Eel Media. So that caution helped Andy McDowell big time because he didn't lose too many spots on that restart. He lost just about 2 spots. A handful of spots that was Kelan Hankins, Glenn Bungeon. Those guys got around him. If that green flag stayed out, he would have lost a lot more positions than he did. So that 20 car out of harm's way on that one. But I think he might take the opportunity to go down pit road this time since he missed last time. He's able to get those fresh tires and be on a little bit fresher tires than these guys, even too long. Just a reminder that if you want to catch more action on the KBRN Racing Network, you can do so at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live for the iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That'll be 100 laps at the famed 1.5-mile oval. That'll be right here on the KBRN Racing Network at 9 p.m. Eastern. Round 7, 2 races left till the playoffs. That's going to be a fun one to watch. And with a lot of these drivers in this series being a part of that series, that's going to be a lot of fun as well with the talent that we see in that series, and a lot of those drivers really making the most out of that one, and that have to get into that top 10 in points to make the playoffs. They'll make a strong case and they'll try to do their best to be aggressive and try to get every point they can. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And Charlotte is a really exciting racetrack, and yeah, it's a bit tighter, especially on the straightaways and in the corners, than most mile-and-a-half tracks. So you really have to work with what you got, but what you've got is sometimes not enough. So yeah, that's going to be a really exciting race. I really enjoy watching Charlotte races. So yeah, that should be a fun one tonight. So make sure to tune in.
So Glenn Bungeon will lead the field to the green flag as soon as we take that. Kelan Hankins will be behind him, and the 2 Chevrolet Camaros, actually 5. Matter of fact, those 5 cars, all Chevys up at the front of the field. Oh my goodness, that's a first sight to see. The 37, the 72, Nick Miller, Aiden Kirker in the 39, and then Cole Williams rounding out that top 5 Chevy group. And then I think the first car to not be a Chevy is that 20 of Andy McDowell. So they're filing themselves all together. And Andy McDowell, I think, will be the last car that isn't a Chevy on the racetrack. We'll see. I think they're still kind of filing it together. I think the 20 went down pit road to take those tires, so he's on a fresh set now. You see Sartaj Mann with that damage. He's up there as well, just filing in together. A tough race for him. And Dylan Basin fell back down the racing order. He's led a couple laps tonight, and he a really, really strong car in that late run and through the middle of the race, and he has a little bit of work to do right now.
Yeah, and we've seen a pretty big shuffle of leaders, especially in the top 5 throughout this race. We started off with people like Blaze McKinney and people like them who started up front, but unfortunately got into some trouble. But now we're seeing like people like 37 of Glenn Bungeon, 72 of Kelan Hankins, 39 of Aiden Kirker start to move up here, and they're going to be fighting for this race win when it comes down to it. And speaking of when it comes down to it, we're going to restart with just over 25 laps to go in this race. So yeah, there'll be a 25 lap dash to the finish. I wouldn't say that we won't get another caution, but obviously anything is possible here at Homestead. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm ready for it.
Ready for the green flag and what might be the last stint of this race here at Homestead at Miami Speedway. Glenn Bungeon will lead the field to the green flag, and there it was. We were on replay the whole time, but live. He gets back out. Glenn Bungeon with a good start, and look at Cole Williams to the bottom of the racetrack.
That was another really aggressive move, almost to the apron there. Cole Williams went from about outside of the top 5 into it, and around in the back goes that 20 car of Andy McDowell. Once again, 28 car slams into him really hard.
Hard contact. Look at the 01 of Hunter Ellis sliding around there due to the damage on that car, but regardless had to get around there. And another caution on the racetrack. We were on replay the whole time. I apologize for that. We weren't live there when we saw the green flag, but we were able to catch it just right. And I think it was just a lot of chaos down here. The contact between the 49, another contact between teammates, and then he's trying to keep the car straight and unsettles the car, gets loose. 28 of Jack DeAndre off the wall. Turn 2 gets involved as well. Hard damage for both of those cars. Gonna look on board with the 28 of Jack DeAndre, see what happened there. Just, yeah, hard into the wall.
Well, listen in here. Looks like you just tried to throttle through it and obviously got into the wall, went down into that 20 car. So, unfortunate for him. We also see the 01 car dive through the grass there.
The 01 really had to split the middle down there, get around that wreck. Down the grass. If you have to go down the grass, you will do so. We got our drivers down pit road. Nick Miller, the SPM Racing entry of Kilo Hankins, and Aiden Kirker down pit road as well. The 3 Commerford.
Yeah, we saw how much tires make a difference here. As we see a few cautions ago, we saw people dive into the pits and get those fresh tires. And comparing that to the cars on track, just like the last caution, they were 10 laps. They were 10 laps on their tires. So we saw how much of a difference that makes, and I would expect Nick Miller and Kilo Hankins to get that jump on them on the restart.
Yeah, an interesting call by those 3 guys. They were using those fresh tires to their advantage on the next restart, even though this was a short green flag stint, so they didn't really have to use too much on that last run. But regardless, they're going to take those tires down pit road, get fuel topped off, even though they're good to the rest of the race with just 25 laps remaining. And guess who's now in second? The 42, the pole sitter, Cole Williams.
Yeah, and our caution once again, we appreciate you guys in the YouTube chat for sticking around here, but just have 25 more laps around at Homestead Miami Speedway here, and you see 42 car looking to dive down, and he will, getting those fresh tires along with everyone else. So Glenn Budget and Beyond 11 are the only people who are on those old tires who are staying out here.
Yeah, just an update. Liam Sheen is out of the race. I believe the 49 of Sartaj Man will follow as well. Those 2 drivers got into many incidents in this race. Seems as though it's been enough for those 2. I think they'll be out of the race from here on out. And one of the drivers we didn't talk, 71 of Brianna Lavin, had to scoot through a couple of incidents there and had a little incident in the beginning of the race, but ever since has kept it clean. She's right now working into 2nd place, and she might make a case for this thing. But we've seen this field dwindle over the past of these couple cautions. Right now we saw a bunch of drivers during these pace laps, and now we're just seeing a handful of them right now.
Yeah, and this field has cut down a lot, and we're almost the cars on track are about half of what we had starting the race, and only 6 are on the lead lap. So yeah, it's just gonna be this guy's bit of damage on pretty much every car. So I think some of the clean cars on the track right now, the totally clean cars, are Glenn Bunchen in that 37 car, and then I think Keel Hankins. I think Nick Miller has a bit of rear end damage. No, his car looks clean as well. But yeah, those 3, along with the 37 who has minor right front damage, they have some clean cars out there.
So with just 23 laps remaining, we still have a lot of racing to go. Glenn Bungen at the front of the field, and still a couple of stronger drivers through this front pack. Nick Miller, Kilo Hankins, those drivers as well. The 39 of Aiden Kirker as well, bringing himself into that running. Cole Williams, who went down pit road, he didn't lose crash tonight. He's worked himself now into 6th place, and what should be the next restart, he'll be on the outside of row number 3. We'll see what goes down. Right now, if you're just joining us, we welcome you to the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series from Homestead. This is round number 6. Round number 7 will be next week on Monday. It'll be an interesting one for sure. Next week will be Martinsville Speedway. That'll be next week, July 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern. 250 laps at the paperclip. That is going to be a rough race. That is going to be tough because we've seen contact and crashing through a good portion of some of these races. And Martinsville will just bring out that chaos even more, don't you think?
Oh yeah, Martinsville is going to be chaotic for sure. Short tracks, really prone to bumping, and you want to kind of fight the tendency to bump someone out of the way if you're faster than them. So that's going to be a pretty exciting race for sure, but also a really rough one.
So we'll take the 1 to green signal this time by with Glenn Bundren, Brianna Lavin, field to the green flag. You'll dip to row 2, find Nick Miller, Kilo Hankins, Aiden Kirker, Cole Williams, and what looks to be the last in that line. You see the 18 of Kelan Belsha. He's been pretty much in the back the entire race, and he's been kind of keeping himself conservative. He has a little damage on that EO Toyota Camry. Regardless, he is still running around on the racetrack and gaining on these guys who have been involved in a handful of incidents. So even though he's 4 laps down, he can still gain that if those drivers in those incidents continue to go laps down. He's be able to pick up a positions as this race moves forward. We have 22 laps remaining in this event, 52 laps behind us now. We are now in the final home stretch of this race. Glenn Bundren will lead the field to the green flag. Well, one of the first times he's been in the lead this entire race. He fought for second. Now he's going to be at the lead on this restart. Green. Instead.
Glenn Bundren leading into the green flag, and looks like the 71 did not get a good restart. That's going to put the 9 car of Nick Miller up to second place, and we're going to see this start to come into play now. Those guys on the new tires are going to go up against Glenn Bundren, who's on the old tires, but Glenn Bundren has a pretty significant lead. Nick Miller kind of missed the apex in turn number 1 there. Here comes Kelan Hankins to the inside.
Kelan Hankins in that SPM racing car looking for his second win in this series. He had to fight with these guys right now 3 wide for what looks to be like P3 between the 71, the 72, and the 39 down on the bottom of the racetrack. The 39 files down through. Kelan Hankins will give that spot up to the 9 of Nick Miller, and they'll be 1, 2, 3 all over again, but still battling to do with the 71.
And Nick Miller powers to second place. Bit of a gap in front of that 72 car, but that 71 car is not done battling yet. Almost chopped off the back end of that 72 car, but 72 clears him, and now those 2 cars who know each other really well, that 9 car and the 72, they're going to start to try to catch the leader here and maybe take it.
Clean through lap number 56. Glenn Bundren still in command of the race, but Nick Miller slowly peeping in to that first place spot. He's trying to look at every advantage he gets. He missed the apex timer, but now he's going to try and take a run for the race lead down and turn down to the bottom of the racetrack.
And not yet, and maybe trying to save that move for a different corner. Maybe trying to get a run here. He didn't have a run going into turn number 3, but for the race lead, going to look to the inside here. Maybe bump driving down the front straightaway. That's going to allow the 72 car to catch up.
Here might be the move that I was mentioning, down with the 9 car down to the now under the 37, still side by side, but it looks as though he'll be able to make the move off 2. He does give the race lead to the 9 of Nick Miller. He takes the race lead for the first time tonight into turn 3.
And he got into a bit of trouble early in the race, but he now finds himself out in front with just under 20 laps to go here. Unfortunately, on those old tires not serving him well. But here comes Kelan Hankins, maybe trying to take away the second place.
Kelan Hankins now trying to work around the 37, trying to peek behind that back bumper. The 37 is still filing into second. They're single file right now. They've grown a little bit of a gap to that 39 of Aiden Kirker and the 71 of Brianna Lavin. They're approaching a lap car. I believe that is Cole Williams in the 42, who had a strong run early on and now just working by himself. He's probably going to get lapped by these guys behind him. They're approaching him very, very quickly, but Nick Miller still in the race lead, lap number 59.
Yeah, and Glenn is maintaining his ground pretty good. He hasn't really fallen out totally. Yeah, I should expect that to kind of happen later in the run here, with just approaching 15 laps to go here. But he's standing his ground, especially on those old tires, almost 10 laps older than the guys in front of him and behind him. So we should expect Kelan Hankins to start to utilize those new tires and maybe get by him in the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, Nick Miller, Kelan Hankins, Aiden Kirker, I believe those guys, they went down pit road not too long ago, and they had those fresher tires down the stretch. Glenn Bundren still trying to save and keep himself within there, which he has done pretty successfully so far. We're on board with the 72 of Kelan Hankins as they work to the bottom of the racetrack, and you see as over the night continues to stretch. The guys using a little bit higher grooves than they would early in the race when the sun was setting and the lights were coming on. Those guys had to stretch down to the white line. Now they're working the middle of the racetrack, and we saw the high line work a little bit well tonight, and so far it's not what we're seeing right now considering they're single file.
Yeah, if Nick can keep this up, we're gonna see another first-time winner in his first start, just like last week with Kelan Hankins. Kelan Hankins trying to improve his average finish. If he finishes second, it'll be a 1.5. And Glenn into the wall after turn number 2. Here comes Ko to the inside.
Boy, one mistake for that 37. It cost him second place, and now Kelan now takes spot of P2. And we saw a couple of drivers get into the wall over the course of. That was the first time we really saw that happen with the 37 of Glenn Bungeon, and now he's under pressure from the 39 of Aiden Kirker, who was falling just short behind these guys, and now he might make an opportunity to fight for third place. But right now, Nick Miller is continuing to extend his gap. We'll just have to see if that 72 has any battle for him over the course of this race, and we got almost 12 laps to go, so time is running out for that 72.
Yeah, time is running out for sure, trying to get every last drop out of that car. Here comes Aiden Kirker, almost gaining on that 72 car. He could take second place here, and it all comes down to how well he saved his tires compared to that 72 car. But Nick Miller, almost 1.5 seconds in front of that 72 car, pulling away for the race lead.
Just an update, we only have 6 cars on the lead lap. Cole Williams is the last guy in the lead lap. If they're able to catch him, that'll put just 5 drivers under the lead lap, and there are these guys right here, starting with Nick Miller into the race lead. He's now pretty much bridged the gap by about a couple of seconds over the 72, Aiden Kirker and Glenn Bungeon. Glenn Bungeon also fell back just a little bit, so these two are the closest together right now on the racetrack. Behind the 37, you'll find the 71 of Brianna Lavin working there down the front straightaway into turn number 1, pretty much sealing that top 5 if she can keep it together over the course of the run, especially if we don't have a yellow going down the stretch, which, especially with these guys spreading out, I really don't think it'll be a factor to the end of this one, unless those guys up front, Kelan Hankins 39, could get together. But that's all depending right now. But Nick Miller is commanding the field so far. He might take his first win.
And just over 10 laps to go here. Nick Miller trying to conserve his car, just trying to make it clean to the end. Just 10 more circles around Homestead Miami Speedway, and he will cruise to his first win in his first start. But Kelan Hankins could finish second and get an average finish of 1.5 in just 2 starts. Last week he took the win at Atlanta, but currently under pressure from that 39 Chevy Camaro of Aiden Kirker. So this is going to come down to it between these guys.
10 laps to go for that number 9 of Nick Miller to take his first win of the season. Kelan Hankins still under pressure from that 39 of Aiden Kirker, who's been trying to get around him the past couple of laps. He's been close enough within reaching distance to try and make a pass, but he has yet to make that just yet. And you see Glenn Bungeon behind. He's fallen back ever since hitting the wall. He's fallen back dramatically. So tough break for that 37. He really had the strong car early in the race, and now ever since he hit that wall, it's been rough for him to keep his car just as fast as these guys up front. These top 3 have really spread themselves out over the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely. And what I'm seeing here is this gap for the lead has dropped at least 0.4 of a second. I'm not sure if Nick is making any mistakes out front there, but that gap has dropped. It's hovering around just the second mark. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but hopefully Nick gets himself straight and cruises to a win. And I'll pull up the gap here. You see it's just under a second. Looks like Ko might be gaining on him. Maybe this could be a battle for the race win if he has enough time to catch up.
Just about almost a second between those two drivers. It seems to extend and then decrease just a little bit. You saw it gain right there from 983 to 999. Might spread out back to 983. So it's staying pretty much consistent between those two drivers. It's dropped a little bit and then it gains a little bit over there. I think Nick Miller might have the better run through a couple of these corners, especially off of turn 4. But it's continuing to go to pretty much decrease every lap now. I think Nick Miller might have used his tire just a little bit too much early in the run, and that could allow the 72 of Kelan Hankins to really make up and take his second win in a row if he can do so. But so far, it's continuing to remain constant, but it's slowly decreasing each lap.
Yeah, and if he can keep that gap decreasing, I don't know if he's going to have enough time there. You're just approaching 5 laps to go and not even gaining a 10th a lap. So he could run out of time, or it'll take one pretty catastrophic mistake for Ko to catch up. So the gap is closing, but not close enough, but not quick enough for that race lead. So 5 laps to go here, or just 6 laps for Nick Miller in that 9 car.
Yeah, but even then, a mistake, like you mentioned, could cost the 9 the race win. We saw Glenn Bungeon got into the wall. Although it wasn't for the first place position, it was for second. Hitting that wall really gives up a bunch of time to the guy behind you, and that really loses you a bunch of time on the racetrack. And now the 72 is slowly edging in that gap. Now less than half a second between the two drivers. And now he's within reaching distance of the draft of Nick Miller. So this helps the 72 even more going down the stretch with just 5 laps remaining.
Yeah, and I stand corrected. That gap closed about 3/10 in just that last lap. So I think Ko, if he can keep it going here and he can shove it to the inside, he will have a shot for the race win. But again, that dirty air and that old tire combination is going to make it tough. But this is, yeah, his car is flying here, and he could have a shot for the win.
This has been surprising over this past run, how quickly Nick Miller's tires have really fallen over the course of that run. And now at the end of this race, it's starting to bite him. On board with the 72 of Kelan Hankins, working to the bottom. He's edging in every single turn. Now the back bumper, this could be the move for the race win if he gets it done in turn 3, almost to the bottom. There he goes down in turn 3. Kelan Hankins for the race lead.
But can he make it work? That outside line is shown to be dominant on those old tires, but he does have the edge out in front. Nick Miller's going to use that outside to get the momentum. The advantage goes to Kelan Hankins at the start-finish line. Here comes Nick Miller back on the outside. With just 3 laps to go here at Homestead. Ko dives into the corner. He's going to go up the racetrack. Crossover from the 9 car. Will he make it work down the back straightaway?
Contact between the two. It almost looked like a almost looked like a crash between those two. They were able to keep it together. Kelan got a little bit higher on the racetrack, but now the 9 is trying to fight back for the race lead to the bottom. Almost edging to that quarter panel, but he hasn't gotten it done, but he's got 2 laps to do so.
And Nick is definitely not done yet. Inching closer back to that back bumper. Looks like about a half a car length here. 2 laps to go here at Homestead. Inching closer and closer. He just needs one good corner, then he can get to the inside and make that move for the race lead.
This is it, approaching the white flag. Down the back straightaway. Kelan Hankins gets the run off of turn 2. We'll see if he's able to make an effect down in turn 3 and 4. They've got a lap car in front of them, so I think that might play into effect how these drivers can. If somebody uses a pick, for example, Nick Miller, if he can get close enough and use the 72 as a pick for that race lead, but the white flag comes out. Kelan Hankins in command. He's breached the gap a little bit.
Yeah, Nick Miller just did not get a good corner come to the white flag here. We have the lap car of Andy McDowell there. Might get in the way of the leaders here, but Nick Miller losing a bit of time here. This could be Ko's race. Andy McDowell showing courtesy. Oh, swerving up and down the racetrack here. This could interfere with the race lead in the final corner.
Down the backstretch into turn 3 for the final time. I don't think the lap car will take into effect. 72 closes in. They're breaching up. Oh my goodness, how close that is, but it's not going to play a factor. Kelan Hankins goes 2 in a row here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Second win of the LWRC Series season. He takes it back-to-back here at Homestead. First in Atlanta, now here tonight. What a drive by that 72.
Yeah, and taking advantage of Nick Miller's mistakes. Gained a lot of time, gained almost 1.5 seconds in those last 10 laps. Amazing drive late in the run here for that 72 car, and he takes the win 2 for 2 in his second start. So, little drive by him, and he's going to burn it down here at Homestead.
Well, that must feel good getting those 2 wins in a row in this series. Kelan Hankins with another win, burning it down in front of the start-finish line. Nick Miller comes home second after a good run through that early portion of the last stint, but he wasn't able to capitalize over the 72. Aiden Kirker finishes third. We'll show up the results right in the front of your screen. See where everybody finished. Of course, Kelan Hankins with a win tonight. Nick Miller finishing second. Aiden Kirker into the top 3. And you'll find Glenn Bungeon, who got into the wall in that running. He holds on to 4th. Ran 11. concludes the top 5. Her first top 5, I believe, this season. Cole Williams into 6th. He wasn't able to get a lap down there, so he was able to keep himself in front of the leaders. He finishes 6th. Then goes the guys a lap down. Hunter Ellis, Kelan Belsha, Andy McDowell, Dylan Basin, 26 laps behind the leaders.
And next up on from 11th through 15th, Jack DeAndrea, 27 laps down, finishes just outside the top 10. Sartaj Man got himself in a good bit of trouble tonight. Finishes 12th. Liam Sheen, another guy who got caught up, finishes 13th. Brady Wheelerman, 14th, and rounding out your field, Blaze McKinney, a shocking last place finish for that 87 car.
Yeah, that 87 got into the incident early in the race and really didn't come back from there. Pretty much an ending day for that 87 early on. When we come back, we've got interviews with the top 3 and, of course, with the race winner, Kelan Hankins, to see what he feels about getting a back-to-back win in this series. We'll take a short break and step aside. You're watching the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series from the Homestead, Miami Speedway. Welcome back to Homestead, Miami Speedway, where the driver on your screen has picked up his second win in a row. And with that, we'll take an interview with him into victory lane. Kilo, welcome back to the KBRN booth. You got a copy with?
I do indeed.
Kilo, you've gone back-to-back in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, a win at Atlanta last week and a win at Homestead tonight. Tell us how you were able to run that night in that last run.
During the restart, I mean, Homestead is a lot about saving tires. So I just decided the best chance I have at winning isn't like to go up against the 9, but to like just sort of save my tires and see how it goes. And I guess like he burned his stuff up, and I passed him within a couple laps to go.
Yeah, you made the running for that race win over the last couple laps, and we were looking at the lap close every single time around, and you were inching closer and closer. Did you think anything was happening with Nick Miller? You think your car was just in the perfect spot, or you think anything might have been notable there?
Well, when we reached about 10 to go, I thought he was gonna win. I thought the gap was too big, but I think he just overshot a couple of corners, and that's what hurt him tonight. But uh yeah, and also I think the battle with Andy McDowell at the end was sort of interesting. I thought that like he was just trying to create a funnel finish, and I thought that it would be enough for when Nick could catch back up and win. So I was sort of scared about that.
Yeah, he was trying to get down there at the final corner on the front straightaway. I think trying to hold you up for a little bit of a closer finish between you and Nick Miller. But regardless, you take your second win in a row this season. Before we let you go and celebrate your victory, you got any sponsors or teams you want to thank for making tonight happen?
I would like to thank I don't know if I have a team in this league, but if I do, I would like to thank them for signing me. I would like to thank Dylan Basin for inviting me to this league. I would like to thank Andy McDowell and sorry, not Andy, but I would like to thank Nick Miller for making this a good race. You know, we had such a fun battle there at the end, and Andy for his you know, like keeping us entertained during cautions and stuff. Also, justice for Sartaj. Andy owes him $10 for wrecking Nick Miller, and yeah, that's about it.
I'm gonna let you celebrate your here tonight. Did something happen, Charlie? Okay, well, we hope to see you next week at Martinsville. That's going to be an insane race, but we'll let you celebrate your victory tonight. Kilo, thank you for taking the time to join us. So we hope to see you next week.
All right, see ya.
Kilo Hankins out of the booth with his second win in a row in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series. Going to peek back to the second place finisher who were so close. I mean, oh no, actually, I don't think he's in the waiting room, so I don't think we'll get an interview with him. We'll file back to P3. You'll find the 39 of Aiden Kirker, who finishes third tonight. He's got the interview with Charlie Baier.
And we're going to go ahead and bring it to the booth. Aiden Kirker, you got a copy with us? Well, he's not in the booth yet. Hold on, I'm sorry. And into the booth he goes. Aiden, you got a copy with us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, that last one was pretty interesting, and obviously lots of tire shaving there, and you almost had a shot to get second place from Co, but unfortunately settles for a third place finish. How did that run go for you?
It went pretty decent. I just kind of warmed my tires off, running behind Co. I actually had planned to just kind of sit behind him, maybe catch Miller with him, but then my tires just ran off. I mean, I've only owned this track for maybe 8 hours at most, so third place in an eventful race, to say the least, is pretty good.
Yeah, and lots of wrecking in the back for sure, but you finished with a pretty clean race car. Was surviving the wrecks really an important factor to finishing just in the top 5?
Yeah, I had to get my crash repair out of the way on, I think it was lap 1 when McKinney spun around, but at that point it was just survival. It was just it's a crazy race.
All right, well, Aiden, we appreciate you coming out and racing with us. Obviously, an exciting race for sure, but we hope to see you next week here in the LWRC Cup Series. But until then, do you have any teams or sponsors that you want to thank?
Yeah, I just want to thank my team, Going Low Racing and Cole Williams and Dominic Mulhern. I have no sponsors right now. I'm open to any sponsors, but that's it.
All right, well, Aiden, we'll see you next week, and we wish you the best of luck.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Aiden Kirker out of the booth, and we're going to go ahead and give, I don't think Nick Miller is in for the waiting room for an interview, so I guess we're going to jump back to 4th place. That's with Kenneth for the interview.
We'll find out 4th place. I think
Glenn Bunger.
not sure whether Glenn Bunger into 4th place. He hit the wall early in that run. We'll see what he thinks about that. Glenn, welcome to the KBRN booth. You got a copy with us?
I do.
All right. Well, Glenn, you looked very strong through that race. You led a couple of laps. You were within range of Dylan Basin, and then through that last stint, you hit the wall, and it kind of affected your run. How did that really affect your race car coming down to that last stint? How did it go for you?
Didn't drive I drove like crap. I hit the wall and like it didn't turn. So I'm like, well, I blew my chance. I blew my chance. And
All right, I'm here for Glenn Bundy. Glenn is. The
I'm
best
sorry.
driver.
Oh, after.
Oh boy.
I don't know where where was that, but our car didn't turn after I hit the wall because Nick, he's good and he passed me. I kind of figured he would pass me because he was on them fresh tires, and I don't think fresh tires would have been a big advantage though. But I overdrove my car and went into the wall and into my day.
All right, Glenn. Well, regardless, you had a strong run, and I wanted to talk about some of the contact between your PPM colleagues there. I saw you made some contact with Sartaj Man in the 49. You had a little bit of contact with him through the course of that race. Was there anything that happened there, or just maybe a miscommunication?
There's something on my quarter panel that he didn't like, and he did not take too kindly to that. So yeah, it's all good. We all Gucci.
All right, Glenn. Well, we'll let you keep your 4th place finish and come out of the booth. Before we let you go, you got any sponsors or teams you want to thank for making tonight happen?
I gotta thank you guys, KBRN. You guys do the best broadcasters. You guys do good for your broadcast, and obviously I gotta thank a bunch of lawn care. I'm the owner, CEO of it, and Court Hearts Media, and PPM, Peak Performance Motorsports.
Of course, we're going to be exciting to see your league happening tonight, covering here on the K1 Racing Network at 9 p.m. Eastern, Charlotte. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and we're going to see you there. So we hope to see you there. And in this series, we hope to see you coming in next week.
Yep, 100 laps. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's going to be long. All right, Glenn Bungen is out of the booth. He finishes P3, and I believe that wraps up the thing. I believe Sartaj wanted an interview due to what has happened there. So I believe we'll get Sartaj down there and we'll just get one more interview with him as well. Charlie, you have the coverage.
All right.
Yeah, I think he just wants to clarify something, so we'll go ahead and let him do that.
So, I would like to clarify. Andy McDowell put out a bet, $5. Wreck Miller. I did that. Then he said he wouldn't give me the money. And then he raised the bet up to $10. Wreck him again. I said, no way. You have to promise me. Give me the money. And then I wrecked him. He didn't give me the money. And then I got mad. And then wrecked Andy. As revenge. So, justice for Sartaj. I deserve better. This is disgusting. What's going on in today's society. That's all I wanted to say. I deserve my $15.
Well, all right. All right. We'll see you next week, I guess.
Or tonight.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah, we'll see you in the Budget Lawn Care series. Good luck.
Yes. I hope nobody makes any stupid bets, but see ya.
All right. Sartaj out of the booth. Obviously, a lot on his mind right now. Yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up our interviews for tonight. Kenneth, you want to close it off for us?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure what to really take away from. It's certainly an interesting one. It went down to tire saving once again. We saw that kind of play into a factor at Atlanta, but I think here it was just a different layout, a different kind of ending than what we expected, especially with those yellows. It played a little bit of a factor. We didn't get as long of green flag runs as we thought we were going to get, but regardless, it was still fun to watch those guys running, especially Kelan Hankins running down Nick Miller at the end there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Tire saving is one of my favorite forms of, well, I guess, tire strategy is some of my favorite racing to watch here, especially in the iRacing service. And those tires are so iffy, I guess you can say, and it really takes a kind of another level of skill to save enough and make it to the end. So it really comes down to which driver can save them the best. And the winner of that is obviously Kelan Hankins on that reverse run, getting around Nick Miller. So that's my takeaway from this race, and it's I had a lot of fun tonight.
Certainly a lot of fun here at Homestead and Miami Speedway. Well, we appreciate everyone watching on the YouTube stream for sticking in with us through this race. I know there were some tough moments out there, but it was still fun to watch regardless, and we appreciate you spending your afternoon with us. If you want to catch more nightly action from the K1 Racing Network on Monday night, you got it with the Bunch and Lawn Care series starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. That'll be right here on this very YouTube channel. That'll be live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Another patriotic race, so we'll see a lot of stars and stripes on the race cars for that race. So that's going to be a lot of fun to point out those and have a little fun with the broadcast there. But from then on, we thank you for joining us here for Homestead Miami Speedway, for everyone at the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, for all of us here at KBRN. For Charlie Baier, my name is Kenneth Bueno saying good night from Miami. We'll see you next week down at the Paperclip.